doing it. All right. Welcome to a special agenda. Thank you so much for joining me, everyone that took the time out of their busy schedule to do so. Hold on, give me 1 second. Okay. Let's see if all goes as I needed to. Okay, I think it's all right. We have started, and so we'll be discussing something that a lot of times as parents of those children that may be on the spectrum or have developmental delays, as parents, we have these expectations. It starts as they grow up, and you have dreams and goals for them, but we forget to help them develop plans for their own life. We have good intentions as parents, but we get carried away. I don't know if I'm the only parent that has, on occasion, unintentionally started making decisions without asking them what they want. Most of us within my age group were raised with parents who were loving, but often on a limited budget. And because they were on a limited budget, the luxury as a child of choosing what you wanted wasn't there. Usually in the format of meals, because there was more than one person to feed, and it had to be considered what they had left to spend. Because how it went, in order for them to survive day to day, was they paid their bills, and then what was left over was what they used and had to stretch to accommodate their family's nutritional needs. But somehow, with a lot of parents, like myself, because of what we learned, we didn't adapt that when it came to their life. We developed a habit of doing that with other things. And then the concept was your parents knew what was best. Now, if you have children that are verbal and they're on the spectrum, we are in such the habit of handling so many things in life that we never keep in mind that at some point they will be responsible for that themselves. We are so busy with the day-to-day responsibilities of planning everything else for them that we never have in our mindset that at some point we won't need or shouldn't need to cover everything else. There are lots of things that they can do, but as parents, we are consumed with the things that they can't, that sometimes we limit them accidentally. And by limiting them, we also limit their dreams, their goals, their purpose. Sometimes some of us forget to see them. So they get to this stage where they become, I don't want to say volatile, because in every case, it's not the same. They don't all become um, in that place where they don't really want to hear us because they start to not trust that we see them. And we're picking things for them. And we're creating battles without realizing it wouldn't be so much conflict if we took the time to consider what their interests were, to consider what their gifts were. The world is a very scary place, but they are more capable oftentimes than we give them credit for. We shortchange the gifts that they do have with the best of intentions. It's important that we look down the road and go, what is this going to look like for them? What if something does happen to me? And many of us live in such great fear of that. Yes, it's important to have a backup plan for them because some will need assistance and we need to put a village together or help them by getting their input on who they want to be a part of their village. Who do they like? Who helps them? Who do they, how do young people say, vibe with or get along with? Who works with them well in a way in which they are happy and comfortable? Sometimes we forget that as parents. We forget to help them. And then we're so afraid of them failing that we neglect to help them plan to cope when they do. Because sometimes it happens with us. There are times when things aren't going to go the way that we pray and plan and hope that these things go well. We hope that all goes as we need it to. And that's not always the case. So it's important to create a schematic for if this doesn't go the way we need it to, what's our next plan? What is it you want to do? How do you want to do it? The steps in which down the road, what is this going to look like? It's important to help them to develop the plans that they can on their own, guide them. A lot of times as parents, we are, or I am, guilty of doing so much for them in an effort to make it look like the standards of which what I expect it to look like or what I need it to go like, rather than preparing them and letting them fail at it until they get it right. And sometimes some of the things that we are so consumed with perfecting, they'd be okay if it isn't perfect. And it allows them to learn to make adjustments. It allows them to learn to have solution based conversations. I know it was one of my kids, and I won't name who because they don't like that. I'm trying to do better about that. That they get upset and it unravels on the side of this didn't work out, and then it just becomes a conversation of that rather than going, okay, what's next? Sometimes we have to give them the words of what's next. This didn't go the way we wanted. So what's next? Oftentimes as parents, we limit what we allow them to be involved in because we're so afraid of it going wrong. We've created all these scenarios in our mind of if this goes wrong without giving it a chance to go right. And for them to be able to pivot if it doesn't. They've got to learn to the best of their ability how to survive if you're not in the room. And I don't necessarily mean if you're not alive. That may be the case. That may not be the case. But as they get older, They need to be able to manage some parts of their life. They need to know how to address some forms of business for themselves or to know who to get if they can't. One of the things we teach our children, if they are children that generally are on the spectrum, and sometimes, though some do understand what to do in the event that they are lost. If your children are verbal, you try to give them those skill sets. So if we get separated, here are the individuals you look for. Police officers, if you're in a store, you look for someone at the register. Stay at the register. Go to a register, stay there. It doesn't matter what anyone says, stay at the register. Let the cashier know that you're misplaced, what your parents' name is, and ask them if their PA system works. Can they make an announcement? Can you tell my mom where I am? But we don't prepare them for that as they get older in life. Who to look for if I need help? Who's safe to look for? If you can't pay your bills yourself, this is what you can do. If you don't want to cook and you don't have enough money for to go out to eat or anyone to take you, what do you do? The basics. How to understand whether someone's unsafe, what to do if you're in a dangerous situation as you get older and these are adults and you're an adult. All of those things are important things, but we forget that they may need to survive without us, or we may not be able to be in the room. It's important for us to teach our children how to develop a plan for their life. How do you look towards a job if you want something, or who can help you with that? We set some things up for them, but it's important for them to handle some things, if they can, themselves. Today, I found a book that I am just enamored with, and it's Taking Charge of ADHD. And it talks from the perspective of a parent how to help your children get through so many things that we don't realize they'll need help with, even in school. A lot of children who are on the spectrum or have ADHD, they have so many problems in school because they are misunderstood. And because of the communication issues, a lot of the teachers are taught how to teach, but dealing with their meltdowns, dealing with the other things that happen, and those meltdowns generally happen as a result of people not understanding what's going on. It's so important that they know that they also can ask, can I speak to the counselor? If you don't feel like the teacher is listening to you, you can ask, can I speak to the counselor? As parents, oftentimes we don't look far enough down the road to understand what it's going to look like for for them, and we don't help them create little goals. And it's important for us to create little goals if they have a big goal. You can create a chart. If they want a job, it's so hard as a parent to not step on their dreams based on what we see and what we think they're capable of. They will make those adjustments on their own if we allow them to see what it starts to look like. Sometimes you have to take people where they say they want to go so they can see on their own whether they want to be there or not. Sometimes they too have really big ambitions, and we know academically they may not be able to accomplish it. patience. They may have issues with it. They may have issues with anger management. But once you take them to that area, that visionary area, and start letting them take small steps, they'll start to see that this might not be what they really want to do. I think I've told this story once before where I had this, my daughter was wanting this, a particular backpack. Now I knew she wasn't going to find that particular backpack, but I had to, as a parent, allow her to look. We could have had this whole negative conversation where she would have been upset, where we would have been going back and forth, where she would have been sad, and we would have started out wrong to begin with. So it would have been a meltdown before we even got started. And if we did decide to still go, it would have been more of them. So I decided that I would take her. I I gave her an option of a couple of stores that we could go to, and I let her go. Now this was close to school beginning to start, and I knew that they did not have it, but I let her look. I said, well, we went to one store and she was dissatisfied. They didn't have it. We went to Ross. We went to Walmart. We went to TJ Maxx. We went to Marshall's. As the day was getting later, I never discouraged her and said, see, they don't have it. What I said was, let's try another store. As the day went on, and I said, well, we went to all these different stores that we discussed. What we can do, and they're out of stock, this is all they have available. So we can only get what they have. So what they've told us is they'll get another supply, they'll get more stock of backpacks, maybe in a few days, but there's no guarantee it'll be there then, or maybe in a week. I said, so we can come back on another day. And she surprised me. She said, you know, we went on home. She thought about it. She thought about it. And she surprised me. And she said, you know, I think I already have a backpack. How about we wash that one? Because I do love that one. And we'll just keep that. That was her decision. As parents, we have to learn to allow them and assist them to make their own decisions. Sometimes they'll surprise you, but they will feel seen, they will feel heard, and they will learn to adjust. If we allow them to gravitate toward the process of making their own personal plans of what life is supposed to look like for them or can look like, they will begin to find their own solutions. That's our job. Our job is not to do everything for them. It's our job to teach them as much as we can and to guide them. One thing I love about our Heavenly Father is He never forces us to do anything. He knows what our gifts are, He knows what our strengths are, but He knows our heart condition. He knows what our abilities are. He presents the information to us. He offers His love to us. And He gives us the opportunity to take hold of that information, to use it, to appreciate it. But nothing is forced. He is not abusive in His speech to us. The Bible is a gift that He has given to us to examine it. Our children are a gift. We're supposed to treat them as such. See, when you forget to allow them their personal autonomy, and we can get bogged down with the weight of the responsibility of caring for them in a loving way, we forget to follow the example that was given to us. To not assume that our children are not capable. To not assume that they'll never do anything on their own. We don't need to take over their life. We need to give them an opportunity to have one. And be kind when we do. And being kind means being considerate and being mindful that some of the decisions that were made when we were young, my they made it my way or this way. And some things weren't necessarily something that had to be done. There was no suffering going to be done, and no loss would have been made if you were allowed your own decision. It's okay to not like certain things. It's okay to not be interested in certain things. It's okay for them to choose on their own where their life course will go when it comes to what they like to wear, if it's not immodest or inappropriate. If it's something they don't want to eat, I tell my children, I'm not going to make you eat anything, but we're going to divide your plate up amongst ourselves. If you don't want to eat it, it's okay. You can fix yourself some. I already fixed yourself some. I already fixed you some once. Never intended to punish, just to inform. It's okay. They may decide they want to eat alcohol. They may decide that they don't want that and they fix themselves a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. If that's what's good for you and it's available, carry on. We need to be mindful of that when we do that with our life, with their life. Because sometimes we unnecessarily burden ourselves, and as they get older, we have taken over their life to such a degree. We have unintentionally limited them. And now we have all of this on us when we wouldn't have so much if we would have allowed them to make the errors that they needed to make to learn the standard that they needed to survive. As parents, it is not an easy job. It is not. But it is important that the ones that we love know that we love them by how we treat them. Doing everything for someone doesn't necessarily mean that you're doing it in a way of love. Because if it comes with abuse, if it comes with constant disrespect or belittling, that's not helpful to them. If it comes with constantly telling them what a burden they are, because now they've become an adult that is not competent because we did not assist them to become more competent, and we didn't require it. Let's take our Heavenly Father's example. Offer it with kindness, with firmness, with love, and be consistent and persistent in it. Continue to be wonderful to each other. But check this book out. I'm telling you, it will be everything. Taking charge the complete authoritative guide for parents. It helps with everything down to schooling, ignoring what that would look like, creating goals, getting through adolescence, helping them with peer problems, which is a huge thing with them, establishing a healthy lifestyle, keeping school performance in perspective is a huge one. Medication. When I tell you this book is the GOAT, check it out. I want you to look into this. It's written by Russell A. Barkley with a PhD. Check it out. I will. Have a good night. Thank you.